Habaragani community, and welcome to Espresso Talk Today. I'm Amma Robin, your host, and today I am beyond thrilled to introduce to you a movement that is close to my heart. Believe Black People. This movement is about honoring and amplifying Black voices, Black experiences, and Black contributions. It's a call to action, a declaration, and a commitment to believing Black people in a world that often ignores or doubts our stories and experiences. In short, we're here to celebrate the amazingness that defines us as individuals and as a community, our creativity, our resilience, and our strength. Believe Black People is all about recognizing and uplifting what makes our community shine. Before we dive into today's topic, make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And please share this podcast with your fam, your friends, your crew, your community. Let's spread this movement and awareness and build it all together. Now, grab that espresso or tea. Tea drinkers are welcome here too, and close that door behind you. We're going to get deep and we're going to get real. And I hope that y'all are ready for this. Akwaba to my dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to my beloved gender nonconforming community. I am so glad that we are all here together because we're going to discuss some great things, and I'm going to introduce this new movement. So let's begin. Let's start with the experience that inspired me to create the Believe Black People hashtag. Recently, I had a racist encounter where a young white boy got in my face and he started complaining. I'm walking down the street of Amsterdam. This boy, I say boy, he's 27. He gets up in my face and he says, "Hey, you got to make room for me." And I'm saying, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you have to make space." It's like, "There's plenty of space on the sidewalk." "Oh, no, I had to step off the sidewalk because you were blocking." And I said, "Well, you made it." And he was going on and on and on, up in my face. And he had that air about him that, "Hey, I'm white. You got to get out of my way." He had that air about him. And he kept going on and on. I thought he was going to get physical. He did not, but he was really up in my face. And I think he was challenging me to get physical, which I didn't because we know how all that ends. But anyway, this was a really upsetting and kind of frightening situation. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. And so later on, I told this experience to white friends. And I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I actually thought that they were going to be more understanding and be supportive. But instead, they brushed it off as rudeness or ignorance. And I said, this sounded like a real challenge to me. Like this was a racist thing happening. And they, of course, bound together and said, no, this wasn't racism. It wasn't racism. It was just ignorant. He was just stupid. That was weird, but it wasn't racist. Well, of course, they wanted to call it anything but racism. They said perhaps he was drunk or high. Perhaps he was just annoyed about something else and he took it too far. But they said it was not racism. They even went so far as to say he probably felt bad about his behavior later because, of course, he's not racist. So now not only is he not racist, now he's actually, a really decent person and feeling bad, and he's actually a nice guy. Well, that was just too much. It was as though my experience wasn't enough for them to say that it reached the level of racism. And I thought to myself, what would it take for them to call out racism? And when are they going to believe Black people? When are they going to trust us about these things? Well, this moment of dismissal isn't new for Black folks. It's something we constantly face when we share our experiences about racism and bias and injustice. People don't believe that these experiences are racist. They cannot believe that their friends, that other white people are racist. If they're not wearing a white hood, well, then they're not racist. They don't believe how serious these experiences can be. They can end in violence sometimes. My friends and allies didn't believe in the chaos of living Black in predominantly white spaces. And that's why hashtag BelieveBlackPeople was born. For me, it's a movement to bring attention to these kind of moments, to validate our truths, and to create a world, really a world, where Black voices are finally respected and not questioned or downplayed. It's a movement that gives the benefit of the doubt to us, to Black people. Yes, that's right. Black people will get the benefit of the doubt, not the racist offender or anyone who is white. So, let's take this a little further now. Let's begin. Part 1. What Believe Black People stands for. Believe Black People is a call to recognize the truth in Black voices, a truth that is often ignored and questioned and dismissed and even ridiculed in this world that's constantly marginalized and overlooked, looking Black lives. This is only one manifestation, really, of the chaos of living Black in predominantly white spaces. By believing Black people, we aren't just acknowledging our pain. We're also celebrating our strength, though, and our successes, and the powerful legacy of resilience that defines us. I know often many people of other cultures want to just only look at being Black as being something of struggle and hardship and sadness and pain. It's so much more than that. I think I discussed this last month, about Black explorers and the amazing things they did, but yet their stories have been hidden and reduced and marginalized and ignored, even denied. But this is a movement that's going to respond to the centuries of dismissal and disregard of difficult situations, but also of the great things that we've done. It's a bold affirmation of our right to be believed, respected, and valued. Believing Black people is critical not only because it affirms our humanity, but also because it pushes for a future grounded in justice and equality. When we listen, believe, and respond to Black voices, we create a world where our histories are no longer silenced and our potential is fully recognized and realized. But hashtag BelieveBlackPeople stands for more than just listening. It's about true understanding and respect. And I want to highlight a few core areas where believing Black people can have an impact. This is just a few of the areas, but it goes well beyond this. Number 1, I'm going to start with my own experience. Believe Black people when we talk about racist encounters. When we talk about experiencing microaggressions, profiling, or overt racism, people often say, as I just pointed out, oh, they're just rude, or oh, it's a misunderstanding. But dismissing these experiences is dismissing our reality. Hashtag BelieveBlackPeople means acknowledging the truth of these encounters without minimizing them. And it also means recognizing, the behavior of the offender. And these may not always be people walking around with hoods on or with, 2 horns and a pointy tail. They can be blonde, blue-eyed, and smiling at you, while also being racist and discriminatory and even violent. Number 2, believe Black people when we share our health experiences, like with biased doctors and nurses, or discriminatory healthcare practices and programs, and when we discuss how the healthcare system has mistreated Black folks. In medical settings, Black people are too often disbelieved about our pain, our symptoms, and our treatment needs. We face dismissal and even outright denial. Believe Black people means listening and respecting our health experiences without requiring proof or doubting our words. Remember, Believe Black People is about giving Black folks the benefit of the doubt. Number 3, Believe Black People when we celebrate Black excellence. Whether it's in academics, in sports, business, or the arts, Black excellence is real and hard-earned. Too often, it's questioned or attributed to luck. But hashtag Believe Black People means honoring and celebrating Black achievements as the result of dedication and talent and skill and brilliance and genius. Instead of just, oh, that was just lucky, or oh, they were just very well prepared, rather than they worked hard and are deserving and commitment, and they're committed to excellence. Number 4, Believe Black People when we talk about historical injustices. Yeah, from slavery to today's systemic racism, our history is filled with painful truths that people sometimes deny or diminish. They say that slavery was in the past, it doesn't have any effect now. Then we know that's just not true. We know Jim Crow as an official law is over, but we also know that schools and neighborhoods are segregated. This stuff isn't just in the past. This stuff is happening today, right now. And we deserve to be believed about them. When we point these things out, we have to accept that these truths are real, even when they're uncomfortable, and understanding how they impact our lives now. Yeah, it is an uncomfortable truth, but it's our reality. It's how we have to, and we deserve to be believed. Number 5, Believe Black People when we call out stereotypes and bias. We are constantly navigating harmful stereotypes and biases that influence how we're treated, how we're viewed, from walking into a store where we're followed around constantly to applying for the highest job in the land, and yet seeing that, but being viewed as not competent to handle it. And when we point these things out, it should not be called too sensitive or that we're imagining things. Believe Black People means recognizing these biases as real and trusting us when we say that they are there and that we've experienced them and we've seen them. And the last one is to believe Black people when we demand fair treatment in the workplace and when we discuss the unfair treatment in the workplace. We're overlooked for promotions. We deal with pay disparities. We deal with microaggressions, being talked over, being dismissed, being fired, and even being kept out of the workplace. We face unique challenges in professional settings. Believe Black People means taking us seriously when we raise concerns about fairness, inclusion, and treatment in employment. So, those are just 6 areas in which I see Believe Black People as being so, so, so important. And these are 6 areas where Black people are consistently not believed. So who am I talking to when I say Believe Black People? And I am so glad that you asked, because I'm talking to everyone. You, me, everyone. The importance of Believe Black People manifests differently, though. It will show up differently for Black people and for white people because it reflects, both personal affirmation for Black people and allyship for white people. And it's shaped by different experiences and responsibilities. Let's begin with white folks. For white people, and I'm going to speak directly to white folks now, Believe Black People is a call to step outside of your comfort zone and to listen actively to Black voices without dismissing, downplaying, or doubting us. It challenges you to confront your biases, your assumptions, or your discomfort and trust Black experiences as genuine and credible. This commitment requires accountability, acknowledging the history and present day reality of racial bias and inequities, and actively choosing to support, amplify, and advocate for Black voices. Believing Black people means standing up in spaces where Black voices are marginalized, holding institutions accountable, and working to dismantle systemic barriers that Black people face. And yes, that some of those barriers are uplifting and amplifying your experience in your life. But at the same time, they are doing a lot to disparage and deny opportunities to Black people. It's not about, rolling around in your privilege or wallowing in your privilege while feeling guilty about it. Guilty doesn't make it okay for you to wallow in your privilege. Believing Black people means becoming true allies in the journey towards equity and justice, supporting Black liberation, not as a favor, but as a commitment to a more inclusive world. Now for Black folks, for my people, believing in ourselves and each other is about reclaiming our truth, our stories, and our worth. We're often forced to explain, justify, and even question our own experiences and in predominantly white spaces. In those spaces, our experiences are routinely minimized. By fully embracing Believe Black People, we can find strength in our own voices. We know that they're valid, and we don't need external validation to be credible. This belief is also about building solidarity within Black communities, creating spaces where we can express, share, and celebrate our full humanity without fear of dismissal. And it's about self-empowerment and collective affirmation. I love that. Collective affirmation, reinforcing the truth of Black resilience, Black joy, and Black achievement. Whew. Wow, I have so much more that I can say about this, but we've already taken in a whole lot, and there is more. Let's pause here to take a breather break. This is a good time for our breather break, and take all this in. Wherever you are, just take a deep breath with me. So we inhale through the nose deeply, and then we exhale through the mouth. Let's center ourselves and reflect on the power of simply being believed. I'm going to stay right here with you, but I'll see you in a minute. Aquaba back. Welcome back, community. I'm so glad you stayed here with me because I really believe that the Believe Black People movement is going to uplift and empower all of us. So let's get to it. Part 2, taking action, how Believe Black People can be practiced. That's right. It's not just something to think about, it's something to do. Believing Black people is an active commitment. It's more than just words. Here's some actionable ways that we can believe Black people in life. Number 1, listen actively without judgment. When we share our experiences, particularly around racism or injustice, listen with an open heart. Don't interrupt, question, or minimize our experiences or words. Simply listen and respect the reality of what we're sharing. I think the friends, that experience that I opened with about how my friends believed that the other guy was a good guy just behaving badly, but they didn't believe me about my experience, about this experience as racism. That was hurtful, and that did kind of damage our relationship. And what they could have done was listen actively to me and understand that I have a lot of experience with racism, and that they should, of course, give me the benefit of the doubt instead of giving the benefit of the doubt to the bad guy. Number 2, educate yourself on Black histories and issues. Now, take the initiative to learn about Black history, Black culture, and the unique challenges that we face. This understanding not only enriches your perspective, but shows you the truth of Black experiences. Now, we have, as Black people, we have the full range of experiences. We have, the really, really terrible things, but we have made fantastic experiences too, and we have absolutely everything in between. Learning and reading about our history and understanding our history will show those experiences. But many people don't want to take that time. But I really strongly encourage to learn Black history and learn it with an open heart. Number 3, challenge microaggressions and biases. Unlearning biases takes effort. Commit to recognizing and addressing any stereotypes or microaggressions that you may hold. And don't be afraid to challenge these behaviors in others too. That's a really big one. Sometimes you got to tell your friends, hey, that ain't right. That is not cool. That's not going to stand. And I'm not going to allow you to do that. That takes a whole lot. But it is time for a whole lot now. Number 4, support Black-led organizations and initiatives. Oh yeah, Believe Black People means more than words. It's about supporting Black-led organizations, supporting Black businesses, and supporting causes that uplift our communities. Show up, donate, volunteer, be an active part of the solution. Number 5, believe without needing proof. That's right, it's time to give us the benefit of the doubt. One of the most important ways to believe Black people is to take us at our word. Asking for proof can be exhausting, and giving proof can be exhausting and re-traumatizing, especially when recounting difficult experiences. Trust our voices and our truths. Number 6, amplify Black voices and stories. Share Black experiences and perspectives and achievements in your circles and online. Support Black creatives, activists, and leaders by giving them visibility and by giving visibility to their messages too, not just yours about them, but to their messages. And the last one is to hold institutions accountable. And I mean schools, governments, businesses, everything. When you see racism or bias in places like schools or workplaces, healthcare, speak out, speak up. Advocate for policies that ensure our voices are respected and heard. Well, I'm almost done with my cardamom espresso. I forgot to tell you I was drinking that today, and I'm just really loving the sweetness and the of cardamom in my espresso. So I really want to recommend that for you. But it's time to wrap this up. And I'm really glad that you joined me for this introduction to Believe Black People. I just witnessed so many situations in which we have experienced racism, bias, discrimination, ridicule, violence, and other types of racial chaos. But then we were forced to call out racism against the denials of our friends, of our allies, and even our family members. That is not cool. That's not right. We see these things, we call it out, and then people who say they are our allies, who say they are anti-racist, tell us, oh, I don't think that's what it was. No, that's not racism. It's time for that kind of arrogance to end. White people are consistently given the benefit of the doubt. They are believed. They are supported and they are uplifted. But Black people do not receive this same kind of treatment. And even more, we're put in positions of having to explain ourselves, to justify ourselves, and to win over the compassion or validation of white people. I mentioned earlier about getting, in a previous podcast, about getting that white stamp of approval. That we have to fight for that and work for that. Whereas white people are given the benefit of the doubt, we have to prove that we deserve it. We have to earn it. And we spend a lot of energy trying to get people in this, racist from the outset country to believe us when we discuss racism. And I remember watching recently a video of Jean-Michel Basquiat, the famous and genius artist. Gone too soon, brother. Yeah, and I was been learning more about him and his work. But he was talking about how he felt one day when he was not allowed to go into a movie theater because they said he looked grubby. That's in quotes. He looked grubby. He was wearing his elaborate and beautiful locks at the time. And he told his friends about this, and his white friends, and they just laughed and said, "Oh, it's no big deal. The person was just an idiot. Just forget about it." And they didn't take it seriously. He was shouting racism to them. He was calling it out, and they were shouting denials and then laughing. But I suspect that those friends wouldn't consider themselves to be racist, or that they would, and I would imagine they would even say that they fight against racism. But these white people did not believe their Black friend. They did not believe Black people. And there are just too many examples for me to recount. But when I heard Jean-Michel talking about this, I could see the pain in his eyes, and I could hear it in his voice. And I was so outraged that his friends just did not take it seriously and just laughed it off. But I also have experienced that myself. I just keep hearing, believe Black people, in my head. I woke up one morning and it's like, what? Believe Black people. And I was like, where did this come from? And then I realized it came from that experience I had where that white boy was in my face. But I've had so many of these experiences, and I've seen these experiences with other people. So I know that the ancestors were saying that it is time now for this to stop. We deserve to be believed, respected, and uplifted. The time is now. Believe Black people is a journey. It's a call to listen, to trust, and support Black voices in all areas of life. So for my beloved community, this movement is also a reminder to believe ourselves, believe in our own stories, and stand strong in them. It's about creating a safe space where we are truly seen and heard. We all have a role to play in this movement. So today, I challenge each of you to think about how you can actively believe Black people. It might mean listening more deeply or advocating in spaces where our voices are silenced, or affirming the greatness and resilience that Black people have brought to every single field. Or it might be swallowing or looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing that you have been giving the benefit of the doubt to people who don't deserve it. So I hope that you want to learn more about how you can support Believe Black People. If so, then, follow me right here. Keep following right here on Espresso Talk Today or on Instagram at Believe Black People. That's right. I'm going to be sharing more information about this mission and how we can all make a difference. And stay tuned for the next episode where we will discuss what believing Black people looks like in everyday life. Because no Black person is truly safe or seen until we believe Black people every day. Together, let's create this future where our voices are heard. Let's create a present right now, right today, where our voices are heard and our lives are respected and our dreams are realized and our minds are liberated. Asante Sana. Thank you for joining me today on Espresso Talk Today. If you found this episode meaningful and helpful, please share it with your family and friends or anyone next to you. You can share your thoughts, too, about the Believe Black People movement in the comments wherever you listen to Espresso Talk Today, or you can, of course, DM me on Instagram at Ama Robin L. That's AMA _ Robin, ROBIN _ the letter L. And you can go visit us on Believe Black People page on Instagram. I welcome your thoughts, ideas, and stories and experiences. I'm Ama Robin for Espresso Talk Today and for Believe Black People, reminding you, stay empowered, stay inspired, and always believe Black people. Strength, soul, and reparations. Ashe, community.